Well, I just wanted to say a few things about safety at sea and what I regard as the greatest dangers at sea in the order of severity. So, the most dangerous thing I encountered was a wind farm. A wind farm is a great expanse of the ocean that you cannot really avoid, and if you've got no motor capability and you're sailing, it's a very, very, very great inconvenience. And so a wind farm has to be regarded as a solid piece of land, which I hadn't really considered until faced with the issues of it. So it was good that I did have my fight with the wind farm, so that I realised how dangerous they were, because I didn't actually, just looking at them, they don't look that dangerous. But if you're becalmed and then suddenly the wind blows up and forces you onto a wind farm, you'd have to sail through this thing, and the consequence of that, I don't know what they might be. So, wind farms. And the second most dangerous thing would be rocky headlands. And I would say stay well clear of those, and especially to be becalmed on a rocky headland. So that brings me to the next danger. The third danger is being becalmed and finding oneself close to some hazard. And so it doesn't seem, when you're becalmed, it seems quite safe, but it can quickly turn into something not so nice. It happened to me when I went round the hook, that I became becalmed as the wind dropped, as the evening set in, and I was between the hook and some rocks, and the rocks were on a falling tide, and the rocks were coming up out of the water closer and closer to me, and I realised that I was in a channel, but I wasn't moving through it, and I could quite easily have reversed direction with the changing current and ended up going where I didn't want to go. So at that point I started my motor, and I motored out of the danger zone. So motors can be helpful at times. The fourth most dangerous thing is ships at sea. Ships at sea are something that you cannot really avoid, and they're just there, and they choose to be where they want to be. And in the days of sail you would all be heading in the same direction probably, and so it wouldn't be as dangerous. But now we have these big, powerful, great big ships that can go anywhere they like against the natural order of things, and so there's nowhere safe in the sea from these great big contraptions, and you're really at their mercy, and all you can do is hope that they don't run you down, really, because you're just a small thing and they're a great big thing, and there's nothing you can do about that, really. Except keep a watch out. You have to keep a watch out, and if there was two of you, you would keep a constant watch. But if there's only one of you, it's even more dangerous to get not enough sleep. That can affect you even worse. And so there comes a point in yachting when you just have to close your eyes and sleep. And at that point it's necessary to minimise the movement of the boat and hope that you're in, or try to position the boat in advance so that you're going to be in a place where there isn't too much shipping. So those are my major hazards of yachting. The fifth one, of course, is the shallows, but they're, shallow mud banks and things like that. These are more inconveniences than anything else. Not a lot of harm can happen to you. Well, there is actually, because there are places where they dug the channel out, and so it's not natural to do that, and it doesn't occur naturally, but where they dug the channel out, there's a very steep shelving piece before it gets, and if you happen to land on that piece by chance, then you could end up upside down, in fact, completely upside down, which would be very dangerous. And so not as safe as it appears getting stuck on the mud bank where it's been dredged. It's better to be on the mud bank than on the edge of the mud bank, anchored in the channel somewhere. That's something which I was taught to me by my mudbank experience this time, because I was on the mudbank, but I could see next to me the dangers if I'd been, you know, where I thought it might be safe in the channel, and then would have ended up on even worse angle, upside down in fact, could be a possibility. So that's my take on the dangers of sailing at sea, single-handed or when there's two of you. Storms, of course, this is a fear of every sailor, and a storm is the worst thing that can probably happen to anybody. And I've been in some pretty bad situations at sea and survived them. In one case, my rudder broke off and I had to abandon ship. And so these situations are unforeseen, and the state of your ship is probably the most important thing that you can contribute to being safe in this situation. And reefing in time is something that's always good to do, and it's difficult. Single-handed reefing, it can be more dangerous than actually easing out the sail and heaving to and hoping that you're going to survive. But if it's too bad, you're not going to be able to do that. You are going to have to get that sail in. And so fortunately I haven't had to do that on this trip, and because it is very, very, very dangerous to mess around pulling in sails when you're by yourself, and especially in a small boat like this, which hasn't got much space, a very difficult cabin top to negotiate, and small rails, and not easy to, not safe really, to deal with reefing sails in a difficult sea in strong winds. It would be well nigh impossible. And even with two of you, it would be dangerous for the person who had to deal with the sails. So just to be aware of these dangers at sea, and the main way you can circumvent this is your weather report. And this is what I did. I picked a time to sail when there were no projected storms, gales, bad weather warnings, and I made sure I stuck to that. So the window of opportunity, I did not compromise, and even to the extent of losing my ability to have a solar panel, which would have saved me a lot of trouble if I had the solar panel. But if I'd ended up in a storm, that would have been no good at all in a single-handed situation. So very, very important to get the weather right. And with the modern technology that we have, it's almost ensured that one can predict the weather at least for the next 24 hours, as we have real-time analysis of wind speed, strength and so on, pressure from all over the ocean now, and so quite accurate information. And it's just a matter of referencing it and making sure that you don't try to go anywhere where there's this chance, because it is a chance. And strong winds you can cope with, but storms and gales, you don't want this. This is absolutely no-no in a sailing boat. Okay, just a few ideas for you, that's all.